Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight I'm joined by all of my Canadian crew. We've got Chris, Ray, and Sean. How are y'all doing?
Excellent. Peachy.
Sure.
Tonight's show, we are reading, this is episode number 60. We are a geeky-focused podcast and, book club. And we are just now getting around to a Harry Potter book. So that's a thing.
I know.
Yeah, so tonight we are discussing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or as it may be referred to at some places, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Tell the difference.
Do what?
Because kids can tell the difference. Made that decision.
So, geez. Is this one of those, does anyone know why the name was changed? Or is it changed in different areas?
Apparently the American people couldn't understand the difference between a Philosopher's Stone and a Sorcerer's Stone. So
they felt that the kids
Sorcerer's Stone would be better for the American
they
audience.
They felt that the kids wouldn't understand what the word philosopher meant, and that sorcerer was a more commonly known word in North America because they got to dumb it down for us.
So UK, Canada, majority of the world is
philosopher. But never mind.
I was wondering if this was a
movies we got were
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, because in the UK it was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because they could not use the word ninja. I didn't know if it was some kind of weird thing like that. So.
So that's just with the movie release. I don't know if it was with the book release or not.
The movie release was Sorcerer, and so was the audiobook was Sorcerer as well
for North America.
But the book, the physical book we got
was
Philosopher.
So it's just higher ups thinking that children are stupid, which is ridiculous.
Yes. Children don't know that that's a thing.
Yes, because books that talk down to children do so well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, this is the first book in our next round of, I guess, kind of a round robin readathon. I guess is that what I'm going to start referring to it. So, and this was your pick, Chris.
My pick.
Why'd you pick this book?
For the woman that's not on.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it was twofold. One, because our lovely Jen has never read the books and never seen any of the movies. And I just kind of can't go through life with that happening.
I kind of feel like she needs to give up her geek card for that. But anyway.
Well,
she definitely gets points deducted.
And I got to give her that. And then because I was just shocked that we hadn't done a Harry Potter book, and I'm a massive Potterhead. So.
Fair enough. So let's start talking. I don't know how much we want to go into, because I would feel like anyone who listens to this show has definitely read this book / series / probably seen the movies / been to the amusement park ride / owns a costume. Except for Jen, yes.
Everybody except Jen.
That being said, I do know a couple of people at work that consider themselves to be geeky in other areas, and they're like, I have no interest in Harry Potter. Because it got too big for what they wanted. Like they were like, So I was like, okay, well, you're missing out for yourself, but okay.
It's his fault. I should say it's his fault. He's the one who introduced this to me, and I didn't get into Harry Potter. We didn't watch the movies until we were like 29, 30, something like that, and then I didn't really get into it till I was in my mid 30s.
So I was working at Bruce Power. Somebody at security had been reading the book. I was working at security at the time, and I was like, what are you reading? Like, it's this big, thick friggin' book. I was like, what the hell is that? And she said, oh, this is the new Harry Potter. I'm like, the what? And so she's like, okay, go read this book at first, and then we'll go. I'm like, okay. So I did, and as I'm burning through the books, somebody else is like, what are you reading? And
took you a while, though, to convince me.
It did. It took me a little while, and then obviously
now here we are.
Yay. Nice. All right. Well, I guess let's just run through, and then maybe we'll even discuss some of the differences between the book and the movie. If we continue on down this path, Like there's some differences in this book and this movie. As we continue on down the path, if we keep doing this, there's a really big divergence. So,
Yes.
and maybe we can discuss, how much we enjoy that in the book series. So anyway, so bottom line, if you've never read, heard, watched whatever Harry Potter, bottom line is, Harry's parents get killed by he who should not be named, which aka Voldemort, he's the main bad guy. He disappears. Some people think he's dead. Some people think he's just disappeared or whatever. No one can figure out why he was not able to kill Harry. He's taken to his Muggle, aka non-magical uncle and aunt. They're horrible people. Their son's a horrible person. They basically treat him like shit. And then on his 11th birthday, he gets a letter saying that they try to send a letter to him, and he finds out that he's actually from a family of wizards, and that he's been invited to go to the big to do wizarding school, probably the best one there is. And then we start getting introduced to this magical alternate reality, essentially. Like it's still tied to quote unquote normal reality, but there's definitely kind of a flip plane to it as well. And then in the rest of the book is his adventures, learning about what he, who he is, what he comes from. He meets several different wizards. He finds out that there are different houses within this school, and which one he'll be part of. We don't really we get a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of people who are in awe of him because they're like, oh my god, it's Harry Potter. We've been celebrating for like 11 years because of the greatness that happened or whatever. You're already famous. Like he literally went from living under a staircase to being like the guy.
Yeah.
And then him and some of his little friends get into some adventures, and the first book kind of wraps up, and we see where it's like, all right, well, this was the first year, and you've got multiple years, so it kind of automatically sets it up. So, all right, well, I guess book 2 is going to be our sophomore year, and we'll just keep rolling on along. So, that being said, let's start with Harry. I mean, I think I will say he's a likable character, both in the movies and in the books. I do like his character. Um, I like most of the characters in the series. J.K. Rowling did a good job of making the people who should be liked likable, and the people who should not be liked you just want to curb stomp them if you ever meet them in real life. So the one person that kind of goes back and forth on that is Professor Snape, because you're like, am I supposed to hate him? Am I not? Like, I kind of like him because he's a jerk. Yeah.
See, we've had discussions about Snape.
Yes.
Okay.
And we don't agree on Snape.
Snape in the books is very different than Snape in the movies.
Okay, well, in the movies, Alan Rickman also plays
Snape, in my opinion.
Alan Rickman plays Snape in a way that you're just like, it's Alan.
Totally frozen.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We can hear y'all. Can y'all hear us?
We froze.
There
we go. Now we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you were saying about Alan Rickman, yes, what he brought to that character in the movies was even though you're not supposed to like him, especially in the first couple of movies, because we don't start getting that hint of there's other stuff going on. You're just like, it's Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as for Snape in this book, the dick, I like that he appears to be the bad guy, and then it's not him. It's a good little twist at the end for the first book. So, but you still don't really trust him. So.
Oh yeah, because even in the end, when you find out it wasn't him, and that he was trying to do, he was still trying to save Harry during the Quidditch match.
And
like, Dumbledore even tells him, he's like, oh yeah, he hated your father, and now feels like he needs to protect you, and he hates that. So it's just like,
Yes, he says he did your father did a terrible thing. He saved his life.
Yes.
So, so there's
that. That's one of the big departures between the movie, because you don't get that.
No, and
In this book, right off the bat.
Yeah, it sets it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the movie, you don't. The movie changes a lot of the. Ron is one of my favorite characters. Ron, the Weasleys, the whole family. I would like them to. Ron in the movies is.
He sounds more like a Muggle than he does, like Muggle raised than he does in magical. Like he's the fourth or fifth kid to go.
Sixth.
He's the sixth kid to go to Hogwarts. Like he does not appear to be the sixth kid going to Hogwarts in the movie. In the movie, he's like as dumb as Harry is about the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Hermione in the movies giving all of the answers. Yes. Where in the books, it's Ron explaining things and being like absolutely like weirded out that
they Harry don't know what.
Yeah, like,
they don't know.
What do you mean you don't know what Quidditch is? Like Quidditch is this, and like I don't know. This,
Well, speaking of characters that are kind of a little different, I liked Hermione in the books more than I did in the movies. In the movies, it's like they turned up her bossiness 2 or 3 degrees, and it's just like, all right, you need to cut it back, little girl, because.
Yes, yeah, and I'm not 100% sure why they show. It's always interesting to me why the screenwriters or whoever adapts the book to a screenplay, why they pick what they pick.
Yeah, because they gave some of Ron's best lines to
Hermione or to Hagrid.
Or to Hagrid, yeah.
God, but I love Hagrid.
Yeah. Okay, well, Hagrid's a character that I felt is pretty even keel in both of them. Like he just
Hagrid's Hagrid.
Yeah, Hagrid's Hagrid. He's just that was one of the other changes between the book and the movie was because I even had to double check this when I was re-listening to it. I was just like, I don't remember the whole thing with the dragon. Like I don't remember all that happening and the sneaking by and all that other stuff. So I even had to check with the Potterheads to make sure I was remembering that correctly.
They just gloss over that big time.
Where that part I do understand because it's as we would all love, much like every other book that we love, we want an 8-hour uninterrupted version, word by word, scene by scene. Please do not alter anything. Of course, we would all like that. That is not how movies are made, and that would be epic but awful at the same time. I understand why they glossed over the dragon part the way they did. I know. We just finished it last week, so it's still fresh. But
we're already on the third one.
Yes.
Again.
I think this is like the 4th or 5th time.
It was kind of funny because I just finished listening to the book, and then so I was watching Frasier, the full series, and like one of the very last episodes, Robbie Coltrane comes in as Daphne's brother. I had totally forgotten about that.
Oh, that's so
It was so weird seeing him. And then his big shtick is like he speaks with such a fast-paced accent, no one can understand what he says, which is just hilarious. But yeah, it was quite the coincidence.
That's interesting.
I like that.
One of the things, one of the big things that, so I actually saw the movies first before I read the books.
Me too.
And one of the things that the books totally cleared up for me was what is the name of the groundskeeper's cat?
Oh, Mrs. Norris.
Mrs. Norris. In the movie, there's a scene where Mrs. Norris walks around a corner and the 3 kids freak out and run away from her. And I'm just like, why are you? It's a cat. Like, why are y'all freaking out? Because we didn't get any of the backstory. In the book, it specifically says it's like, oh no, it's almost like he can talk to her and she's like his little spy. So if you see her, she's going to go back and report. So I'm like, okay, well, that totally makes sense because they're sneaking around. All of a sudden they see the cat. They're like, crap, we're done for her. She's going to go back and tell him we're a goose is cooked. And in the movie, it's just like, it's a cat, run. I'm just like, why? Like, kick the cat if you have to. Why is this a problem?
You have a theory about the cat, Mrs. Norris.
She's a maledictus.
We're convinced she's maledictus.
She's a total maledictus, like Nagini. She's got that blood curse on her that eventually
she'll become a cat forever.
She
was a human.
He was a human.
I'm thinking was either his wife or something, and she was sick with or she had this and became the cat, and because she loved him as well, that's the connection that they have. That's my thought.
Interesting theory, especially considering the fact that she has the name Mrs. So yeah, that's kind of interesting.
If anybody takes it, just throw a little little credit this way.
Well, let's talk about some of the characters. So we've kind of covered Ron. Like I said, Hermione to me, in the book, I think she's fine. In the movies, at least in the earlier movies, she's definitely, her bossiness seems like it's turned up a little bit more than where it should be.
I think that's probably just due to child acting.
It could be.
It could be. And we all know a Hermione in our life. Like we all grew up with the kid who was just such an overachiever and would cry when they got 99% and was just like so much stress on them, but like had a need to know everything about everything
and could not be second best.
Yeah, and just
yes,
compelled to tell you all the information they know. We all grew up with a person like that.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned a little bit Hagrid. Yeah, like I said, going back to my original comment, the people you're supposed to like, and he's just a big lovable character.
One of my absolute favorite introductions to a character.
Yes, fantastic intro.
The banging on the door, it comes straight down.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, he's super polite, but then like when you piss him off, it's like
he's a giant.
Yeah. So don't tell anyone that that I'm doing magic. That yeah. So
I have a theory about that one too. So
okay. Minerva McGonagall, I think she fares pretty evenly in both as well. Like
Smith nailed that role for sure.
Absolutely, and it's funny because, like I said, I saw the movies before I read the book, but like, and you tend to do that. Like if you see the movie before you read the book, you kind of picture that person in your head as the character, and there are certain characters, her, Snape, Hagrid. Like, there's no one else I could even begin to imagine else playing those roles. It's just like, no, that's them. That's who it is. So, but yeah, I like her character. She comes up, she's super strict, but she obviously cares about the kids. But you're gonna follow the rules, damn it. So.
Firm but fair. And then the part that I love is you already get that she's firm but fair, and she catches Harry on the broom when he gets the remember all, and like
he thinks he's
the first time. Well, the first time you're reading the story or you're listening to it, she's Harry Potter, come with me, and oh shit, like what the hell is he gonna? And then she's all excited, like I found you a secret.
Yeah, that's an awesome scene because you're right. She does. It's not just I found you. It's like she's excited, like we're gonna have a chance now. Like this is awesome
because she wants to.
Snape.
Yeah, I can't face Snape. We lose again. I love that. I thought it was great because it gives her some more depth of that.
Yeah, because she's not just the one-dimensional. I'm super strict and yeah.
So. Also, she calls all the kids by their last name.
Yes,
I love that.
Okay, so when I taught 8th grade, y'all know how names are. Y'all know how kids are named nowadays. Sometimes the first name isn't spelled anything like it's supposed to be. Yeah, so I started just calling them by their last names because sometimes they were a little odd, but I had a much better chance of getting the last name than I did the first name. So I just call them by their last names. And I just told them, I'm like, I'm Mr. Stevens and I'm going to refer to you as Mr. Smith. And they were like, oh, okay. And I'm just like, because I can't pronounce your first name.
That's a good name.
So, any particular scenes that stand out? Like, I'm like you. I love that scene where we first meet Hagrid and he comes in and introduces himself to Harry and starts explaining stuff to him. I love the sorting scene. It's just kind of a very iconic scene. I think the way they portray the castle in the movie is pretty spot on to the book as well. Like that is how I see it Once again, though, I saw the movie first, but seeing it, and hearing it, that is what I'm picturing in my head. So,
for me, one of my favorite scenes in the book is it's the final trials for him to get through, but it's Snape's in particular. I love that Snape uses logic
oh yes,
because yeah, most wizards are going to rely on the magic to get through rather than their mind, and I really enjoyed that, even though I hate Snape in the books. I also think it was kind of a missed opportunity in the books or in the movie as well. Um, you know, you don't get to see Snape's
No.
protection, right? Or so I just you miss that. You miss they could have just had a huge troll laying there CGI. They could have like run through, or even an animatronic one or something like that. Like it's
yeah.
So you don't see that, but you do see the chess scene, which is another really cool scene. So
Yes. I really enjoyed that scene. That's some of the other things I really like about the book is the magical versions and stuff. We don't in this book we don't get into well, and I mean that mainly comes from Ron's dad, but the whole thing of how things are really cool in our universe that don't exist there. We get the opposite version here. We're getting introduced to this, and wizard chest I freaking love. Trying to think some of the other little things that the candy, the flavor all candy that could taste like anything is
every flavor beans. Yes.
yeah.
Play that game.
real. Don't recommend it.
Gross.
No, yep, I've had a few of them.
Oh, it's brutal.
That is not a fun game. It's like, oh look, it's green. It's either lime or grass.
And it's grass.
Yep, not willing to take that bet anymore. That's for the kids.
Yeah.
So, any other scenes in particular? I also like. I like the final when we find out that who our main bad guy is. And I like that whole scene of him, trying to figure out, when Voldemort's telling, what's his name?
Squirrel.
Yeah, he's telling him, use the boy. The boy can get the stone out. I like how that scene played out, because then that's kind of our first footstep into this idea that there's a lot more going on here. This is not just going to be, it's going to be it's going to be a 4 or 5 book series, and it's just going to be him at school, and then because honestly, at least the last book, if not the last 2 books, I was like, school, what happened to that? Like it's
yeah,
it's like
he's out early.
Yeah.
I will say it's the very opening of the book that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, me too.
Which is, it's the Dudleys walking around and like
Dursleys.
Sorry, the Dursleys. The Dursleys are walking around and and there's Mr. Dursley walking out and some guy just hugs him and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a good day for you guys too." And he's like, "You're just weird. Get the away from me." Like,
yeah.
That would have been cool if that was in the movie. I understand why they started it in the movie, just the dark scene and all that, but yeah, it would have been cool to see it beforehand.
Yeah, and then the news article talking about, you guys are setting those fireworks off a little too soon. It's people's spells that are going off. Like,
yeah.
And then the whole there's a lot of owl activity, which is odd.
Oh, I love that. That's just kind of a throwaway line, especially before you find out anything that's going on. You're just like, okay, owls. What is that all about? And you find out, oh no, this is how we communicate. Like,
that's their mail. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then the other thing that makes no sense to me at all is their money system. Like, and I'm sure it's designed because they say, oh, it's really simple. It's this, and they rhyme it all up.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah. But English currency isn't that straightforward either. I've had lessons from people over there, and I'm like, nope, I can't figure it out.
No.
Their pence, their pence, and their pounds.
Yeah.
And
well, they changed currency how many years ago? Like they switched it around, so like the numbers and all that changed too.
Yeah, well, a pound is a quid, so it's all good.
I can't remember. So the scene I liked was when Harry's in the hospital and Hagrid gives him the book of pictures.
Oh,
Figuring that Was that in the movie? I can't remember
Yes,
that.
it was.
He gives it to him at the end.
Yeah.
Well, that's what.
But he does give it to him.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
it's not
It's not at the hospital.
At the hospital.
It wasn't at the hospital, but yeah, I did enjoy that one where he said that he'd called all the friends
Yeah.
to get the pictures.
Yeah. It was really sweet of him to do that. Yeah.
Real quick, sorry, just on a side note, I was like, surely there's a conversion. Yep.
Oh yeah.
1 galleon is $6.64 in US dollars, and a sickle is 39 cents. So, if you were ever wanting to convert your US currency into Wizarding World dollars or sickles and whatever else, it's possible. So, I'm just like, that has to be it.
You can. However,
hot tip: don't do it at Universal.
No, don't do it because
I bet
it's a piece of paper
paper.
Oh, there's your. I'm like, that's not a galleon.
No. Galleons are coins.
Give me a fucking coin.
Exactly. Yeah, you would think they could mint that real easy.
Yeah. Anyway. Universal, make it happen.
See, that seems like something. That even seems like something that would be so. I mean, granted, I'm sure they don't want to. Well, no. See, here's the thing: like every single video game system wants you to convert your currency into their currency because it's not an exact 1-to-1, and that's specifically because you lose count. You're like, oh, 800 points is. I don't know. Is that $5? Is that $20? I'll go ahead and do it, and you find out. Oh no, that was 20. That was $20. You just blew. So to me, I'm like, why the hell would you not do that? Like, why would you know? Hey, do you want to convert your money into this, and so you can go to and pay with sickles and stuff? And then by the end of the day, you're just like, I just blew $800.
Yep. That was just to get the cash.
No joke. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that really kind of stands out, either between the book or the movie. I mean, obviously we all enjoyed it. I've read through them at least twice. I know I did my initial run through. It was one of those things. It was a couple of years ago. I was like, you know what? I've never read these. I'm gonna do it. I've got enough credits built up, and I ran through them, and I really did enjoy them all. I can understand as an adult. The first several books are definitely more kid focused.
Yes, but I feel like a good story is a good story.
Yes,
I do too.
It doesn't matter. That's why I picked it, because she's a fantastic writer, and it's a great story. It's a really great world that I love the world that she's created. So that's why I picked it. And it's a little odd that somebody in their late 20s, early 30s would clamp onto this, but I did. And I don't know, I just think it was I hadn't read anything like that before, where it was just this immersive world. And
that's one of the biggest things about it is yes, you do like the characters, but the world that they built in it is something that, and there's honestly probably the reason why it's hung around and been as popular as it is because, I mean, granted, we haven't gotten that much more officially out of this world, but everyone just wants to go visit the world, which is why when they did, the theme park, everyone was like, "Oh hell yes, this is a home run idea." So
especially Diagon Alley, they did such a good job with that. So
and it is the world. It's not so much the characters, although there are characters that I really love, but it's just I want to be part of that world.
Yeah,
I want to go in there and just never come back.
Well, that's the other great thing with like science fiction and fantasy, well, especially fantasy, is it becomes timeless.
Yeah.
So with this, it's linked to the real world, but the link to the real world is just it could be linked to any point in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Like look at Magical Beasts. Like it takes place in the early 1900s or something like that.
1920s.
1920s, whatever. But like it could have taken place at any point because you're offset by just enough to like keep everything real interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she did that just intentionally. Like it worked so well. So these books will be timeless.
They will be. And when they came out, there was such a dip in children's reading. Not that they couldn't, but just that children, it wasn't something that they wanted to do anymore. And her came along right at this low point, and it just clicked. Like it was the right place, right time, and it just book sales, children's books, all went up there because of she's the first woman. She's the first author to actually become a billionaire just from writing. So
it also set off like you were saying. It was right time, right place, and it reignited a lot of kids because I mean, like, I was not into it when it first came out, but I remember the news covering it like Star Wars. Like it was that big a thing. Was the new Star Wars movie's out, the new Harry Potter book came out, and there are kids that are lined up, and the next day they're literally talking to 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds that like stayed up all night and finished the book. And it's just like, on one hand you want to go, that's insane, but on the other hand you're just like, my God, you are a ravenous reader. Good job.
Well, I remember I worked at a camp in Maine when I think it was the 5th or 6th book. I think it was the 6th book that came out. And a couple of kids got a copy mailed to them from their parents. And it made the rounds for a few weeks. Like every once in a while you'd see a kid laying on the beach or whatever, and they had the big book in their hand or whatever. And that was like, it was huge. And I was like, oh, okay, Harry Potter, whatever. But it just sparked this whole, it reignited a love of
interest in reading again. So,
and then we got several other, early, young reader fantasy series or whatever that sparked several other ones. The Percy Jackson movie or books, and
that's really good. Percy Jackson's really good too. Yeah. But you can really tell when I was reading Lord of the Rings, you could tell where she's inspired by Lord of the Rings because that was one of her main inspirations was Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
So you could see it when you would read, and you're like, oh, this character is based off of this character, and this. I gotcha. Okay, I see, JK.
Have y'all seen the epic rap battle, Luke Skywalker versus Harry Potter?
No, I'll need to do that.
You need to do it. Number one, it's done in Lego. It's fantastic, but literally one of the first like real roles that Luke gets on is talking about how Harry's story is like, he's like, look, orphaned child goes to live with family, gets discovered by a crazy old dude, finds out he's got magical powers. He's like, but I've got the cooler stick, dude. So sorry, but
at least I didn't have to kiss my sister.
Yeah, and that was another joke they brought in. But anyway, definitely go watch it. It's really awesome. But what's really cool is like to tell you how much of an impact this had. It wasn't even the last of the books. I think this was introduced in either the 5th. I think this was the 5th book of Stephen King's magnum opus, the Dark Tower series. There are some technologies that are introduced, and one of them is basically a lightsaber, and the other one is an exploding snitch. And at one point he flat out references Harry Potter, and it's like, man, this had such a huge impact. It even impacted freaking Stephen King. Like the king of horror was obviously a huge fan.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So
there's one big beef that I have with the movie that totally ruins the spell.
Oh God.
That protects Harry.
Okay.
So the spell that protects Harry is as long as he calls his aunt and uncle's home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then he's protected and he can't be found there
until he comes of age.
What does Harry say at the end of the Philosopher's Stone?
Yeah, Hogwarts is his home.
Yeah, I'm not really going home. He doesn't say that in the book. It's not what he says in the book at all. In the book, he talks about how they don't know that I can't do magic. Like, that's,
Right.
But in the movie, he's, I'm not going home, not really. And it's actually mentioned a couple times in the book later, too, where he doesn't really feel like,
Privet Drive
is his home. It's Hogwarts. But it's like, okay, well, that screws up that part of the protection. But
we've clearly watched.
I've done too many deep dives on it. But it's like, shit! Like that's just a little bit of a ooh. And because we're listening to the 3rd book. But anyway, that's a whole.
I'll be honest with you. I almost went down that road, and I was like, no, we may be reading them again. I'm going to hold off on that, and instead I'm going back through the Magic 2.0 series. But anyway, because I'm still doing a bunch of physical labor at work, and I just need something that I can put on in the background and dip in and out of and be like, oh, I love this scene, and then go back and.
I'm listening to Hail Mary right now because that was my go-to right now for when I'm doing.
Oh yeah, that's another one. That's another fantastic one. Yeah, I've started going back every so often. I keep trying to plow forward and go through, read new books that we either have set up or things that I want to read. But sometimes you're just like, nope, I need to go back to an old favorite. So, well, is there anything else anyone wants to add to the book discussion?
So,
I will say, okay, so
are we going to talk about the elephant in the room?
You?
No.
That I picked it because it's kind of like a classic. It is a classic, and for Jen because she hadn't read it before. It's a yeah, and she hasn't because school
still hasn't
because school got in the way, which
Damn
is
it,
fine.
Jen.
Which is fine. But the recent controversy with JK and the comments that she's made, I just wanted to say that she's her own person. She has her own autonomous feelings. She can say what she wants to say, free speech and everything, and you don't have to agree with her. But the world that she's created, you can't deny. You can't deny the fact that this is she made this. And is it hers anymore? I don't know. Because the fandom is really strong and it's really wide and it's varied, and everybody's got their different feelings about it, and everybody's got a different way of dealing with what she said and how she goes about that. And I just feel like Rupert Grint's something that I really like, and I think he said, she's my auntie. Do I agree with her? No, but she's still my auntie. Right? Like, she wrote the books. Do I agree with her? No. She still wrote the books. I don't have to agree with her to enjoy her art.
And that's something that I once the fandom is there and it's like Star Wars, right? Star Wars isn't George Lucas's, it's not Disney's. It is the fandoms. Like, they are the ones that own Star Wars. They're the ones that dictate where the story goes and proof positive in the way of how they're trying to work with Mandalorian, right? Like, it's like, oh, okay, like this is really working in that. So you can enjoy what's been created without having to agree with somebody's personal beliefs. So
yeah. Because they're just it's her personal beliefs, and she can have them and say what she wants. And there's backlash, obviously. There's consequences to everything. But I watched the new Fantastic Beasts movie, and she wrote that, and I don't support anything else that she does outside of Harry Potter. But that's my own personal decision. And some people have walked away completely, and some people just flat out pretend she didn't say anything and carry on as usual. So it's like a mix of everything.
I still go back and forth if we should ever do an episode of the Epically Geeky Show where we discuss this. I know in private we've had discussions that a lot of times it kind of depends on who the person is and kind of what they did. Like, it's because you don't see her on screen.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy to be like, all right, well, yeah, whatever. And, she wrote the books, but she's also not reading it to you. So it's, music's a little more attached to it. There's definitely some things that happen with Michael Jackson, but I'm like, I'm not going to not listen to Michael Jackson music because it's still awesome. But then, like, when you get to certain actors, you're like, I don't know, that's definitely the dude on the screen doing the thing. So yeah, it's weird. But yeah, if you have an issue, if you are Harry Potter curious, and you don't agree with her opinions and you don't want to give her any more money, totally understand. There are these places called used bookstores, and believe me, she wouldn't get a cent of that. So just saying, there are ways to.
There are ways. There's libraries, borrow a book.
There you go. Yeah.
And there's another thing too, is that there are people out there who have said that they're not going to buy any licensed merchandising because she does get a royalty off of that. So they buy independent creators off of like Etsy and things like that. So they buy things associated with the fan from that.
Or if you're like some of us, be like,
you make it.
Fuck it, I'll just make it myself.
So there's different ways, but it is.
I ain't buying your wand. I'm gonna go make my own. Damn it.
Yeah, but it is a really interesting case of the does the artist own the art once it's out, and if they do, does everything in their personal life become attached to that piece of art, and they're human, right? Do we stop seeing them? I mean, she was put on this massive pedestal, and I think a lot of it was just huge disappointment is where a lot of this is coming from, was just massive disappointment on the fans' parts. But it's an interesting look at the artist and art that they create and how much of them is the art.
Yep.
Also, but Harry Potter is an amazing world building.
That's accepting of everybody.
That is accepting of everybody. It's a really good.
And that's the kick in the shins about it all. It's like
even Hagrid says, "I am what I am, and I'm not ashamed." Right? So
that would be like George Lucas being like coming out and being like, "No, I think all alien races would be." That's stupid. If you believe in aliens, you're a fucking moron or something like that. I don't know. It'd be something along the lines of be like, dude, you're the one that made alien races cool and made us hopeful to want to go meet other alien races. Usually it doesn't work out so well.
Yeah. So that's like equivalent. But I really feel like if you haven't read it or if you haven't seen any of the movies, and you are hesitant to support her, then buy from a used.
Yeah. There's absolutely ways to enjoy this without supporting her. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to. First, let's discuss our next upcoming book. So, in our reading round robin, as it were, the next book is Jen's book. Hopefully, she'll read it. It's Where the Deer and Antelope Play by Nick Offerman. So that should be interesting. Mm-hmm. After that is my pick. It's a book called Infinite by Jeremy Robinson. Sean and I have had some discussions on this book. Well, not on this book, but on the author. He's read other things by the author. And I'm really glad I picked this book because I finished getting a little ahead here to what else we've been reading. I finished the sequel to it, and there's this little interview at the very end of it. And he talks about how the second book is different from the first one. And he talks about how when he wrote the first book, he was in a really, really bad place. Like he was having dark thoughts to the point he was getting on medication and stuff. And so I'm just like, okay, that kind of explains it because this book is kind of weird. And I think if you jump past some of the first chapters, you might be okay, Chris. I don't know. It gets kind of brutal in the first part. But I really want to know what Ray's opinion of this is. Like, I can't wait. Because, dude, it is a roller coaster. It's literally like, this is batshit crazy. Okay, this kind of makes it. Nope, back to batshit crazy.
Just confirming, that's the one?
That is it. Yes, sir. Infinite by Jeremy Robinson. After that is Sean's pick, Half Share by Nathan Lowell. So we're going to continue on the old Solar Clipper series. And then your pick, Ray, was Ravenwood by Nathan Lowell.
Yeah.
I had not even heard of it.
Yeah,
there might be a reason why.
It was a recommended for you, right?
Okay. So, well, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to what we've been reading. I'll go ahead and jump in first. I literally have just been going back through backlog stuff. Like I'm going back through the Magic 2.0 series. I finished out I redid the Bobaverse books. But I finished Infinite 1 and 2. Once I finished the first one, I was like, well, I have to see where this goes. And then finish the second one. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what else he's written, especially since Sean has read some of them. But I'm going to jump to Sean next because what have you been reading? Because from what you said in the back channel, I'm kind of interested in maybe picking it up too.
So I've been reading Expeditionary Force, book one, Columbus Day, by Craig Allenson. Now the reason I picked this book, now this series, I think they're on like 20 books or something like that now. Like it's a massive series. So I picked this one because of the Bobiverse. One of the groups of Bobs nicknamed themselves the Skippies.
Skippies, yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? I don't understand why they're calling themselves the Skippies. I thought it was like Skippy Peanut Butter or something like that.
I honestly had no clue either.
And then in the Facebook Bobiverse group that I'm in, they like every like week someone's referring to this Expeditionary Force series, and that's where they got the Skippies from. Oh, fine, whatever. I had some credits burning through my pocket, so I got the first book. And so it's basically Earth gets invaded. During the invasion, a single guy, he was off on leave, like a military guy off on leave. He like captures one of the invading forces, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of bright lights in the sky, and another alien race comes and cleans house and supposedly saves us. This grunt gets a whole bunch of accolades and like gets known throughout the whole planet for capturing an alien. He does it using a ice cream truck that has a big Barney painted on it, so his nickname was the Barney guy for a long time. Anyway, this alien race that comes and saves us takes a group of military humans to another planet to like help with this huge war effort or something like that. And anyway, things aren't what they seem. It's kind of a slow, like it's not a slow book, but it's like kind of a typical military going into space kind of thing. For the first several hours of the book, I'm like, I've heard a lot of this before. I've read a lot of books like this. It's kind of formulaic, but then all of a sudden things start getting like, oh, there's a little bit more going on here, and more, and then you meet Skippy, who is an AI that's like millions of years old. He looks like a beer can because most of them is in another dimension. So he's actually massive, but the only part you see is this little beer can. And right off the bat,
God, you just cleared up so much stuff. Go on.
He's a total asshole too. Like he's been silent, no one to talk to for like a million years, so he's a little bit crazy kind of thing. And one of the primary rules built into his programming is he's not allowed to talk to anyone that could understand his technology. So he couldn't talk to any of these other aliens. But as soon as you got the hairless apes coming on planet, he could talk to them because there's no way they could understand anything. So, and it's that back and forth. Oh my God, it is so funny. And from there, like the story really takes off. So like the first several hours, it's like, this is kind of boring. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, everything's so great. Now I can't, like, I was listening right up until the beginning of the show today. And I'm going to like click it back on. Like, I can't stop listening to it. And it's only the first book. So it's like, I'll wait till I get into the second and third book, but I'm seriously thinking it's like the Bobverse guys. I think I found a gem. So there's just so many. And right now, they're on sale on Audible till Friday. They're like $4 or $5 per book. So, and they've got like the first several of them for sale right now. So it takes a little bit getting into it, but afterwards it's like as soon as they introduce Skippy, it's like, holy crap, this is so good.
Can you give the name one more time?
Yeah, it's Expeditionary Force, and book one is Columbus Day. Okay. And there's like this so there's this whole huge series with Joe and Skippy, but they also have to leave a group of humans on this planet, and it's called Paradise, and it looks like they've got a sub-series based off of that too. So it's only about 2 books in right now. It's for sale. I haven't pulled the trigger on that one because there's so many other ones I got to listen to. But
so that explains why they called them Skippies, because they were interested in the AI project.
yes,
But that further explains whenever in Heaven's River, when he asked Bob, is there a particular reason why the program phonetically changed my name for the Quinlans to Beer Can?
yeah,
So
exactly.
that totally makes sense now.
Oh yeah, oh my God, it's like so many things just clicked into place just from
Okay,
listening
you
to it.
sold me. I think that this may be my next thing I buy.
It takes, like, I warn you, it's a basic sci-fi military thing. There's some funny spots in it, but it's just kind of slogs through until he meets Skippy, and then it's like, holy crap, this is cool. This is so funny because he adds a lot of stuff to the story. And apparently, he's in the whole thing. So,
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So yeah, I've been listening to that. I finished some Forgotten Realms stuff. Yeah, I did the Harry Potter at like 1.5 or 1.75 speed because kind of knew the story already. But yeah, that's about it for now.
Nice. Ray, have you been reading anything else?
So I got through Ravenwood. Obviously, we started the next book for Jen's pick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
What was Jen's pick again?
for the Deer and the Antelope play by Nick Offerman.
Yeah, Nick Offerman.
So
Yeah, we're
that's interesting.
we're getting to it.
Your reactions to both your book and Jen's book had me a little worried here, Ray.
Yeah. You might have to change yours.
I know, right?
I'm considering it.
Ooh, okay. Well, if you decide to, like, by all means, do
Expeditionary
it.
Force.
I know I've got a little bit of time, but don't get Ravenwood just yet. I'll talk offline. Yeah. Because maybe I'll pick one of these other ones instead. Other than that, just been kind of going. Like I said, listening to Hail Mary again right now. I actually I told my nephew about it because he wants to get into
Must be an
astrophysicist and stuff like that. So I was like, totally cool. You need to listen to this. And
Yeah.
Other than that, though, not really reading too much more.
We're reading Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah, we did burn through the second, and we're into the third book of Harry Potter. But most of the time, my free time is into the kitchen, so it's the old knowns rather than a new book.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But I did finish the whole series that you and I did talk about before, so I'm caught up completely with the Jessica Black.
Maybe I should do another quick marathon of those to reacquaint myself with them, and then if nothing else, maybe you and I could do a special episode where we talk about it. Because from everyone else's reaction, I don't know if everyone else would enjoy going through that. I don't know how you landed on the series finally, but I know I'm more positive than you are.
You don't know that anymore.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Well, there we go.
What
we may have to do that.
What I'll say is, I could definitely see Sean enjoying one character more than the other.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to talk about that here in a minute. So, all right, Chris, what are you reading?
So I'm reading Prisoner of Azkaban, and then Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It's a weird last name, and I like it. It's an epic fantasy. It's a little too much of a slow burn for you, but I really, really like it. And then I'm reading Larissa. I think it's called. Wait a minute, I looked it up just a second. It's a smart book. I hadn't read Smart in a while, so I needed it. It's called Ecstasy Unveiled. Anyways, if you like,
awesome title.
Yeah, it is, right? But if you like paranormal fantasy and you like erotica, she's an amazing writer. It's really fast paced. It's all plot driven. It's nothing. It's what it is. But it's not like 50 Shades where it's just that's all it is. And you get super uncomfortable. It's not like that.
Okay.
But interesting in the world that she's created and stuff like that. It's really cool. So those are the things that I'm reading right now.
Nice. Well, that is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, wherever it is you listen to the show. You can also check us out at YouTube, where we will post the show as well. You can find us at epicallygeeky.com, where you can also find the other shows that we do, including the Creatively Geeky, Epically Geeky, and Sustainably Geeky shows. You can find all of those on the social media at Epically Geeky. Where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram.
Chris?
Moody Midlife on Instagram.
Sean?
Screwing with Wikipedia, and your favorite broken toy on Instagram.
And as always, you can follow my individual wacky adventure online at Optimist Gene on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For everyone on the site, have a good night.